There could be some among us. They don't make it so far south, so we can say whatever we want to about Canadians. Or people of a different skin color than us. What? Canada rebels? Wait, Canada ripoffs? She's a Canada freedom fighter right here. Okay, I guess I was saying, and I'm sorry, it's early, I apologize. I haven't had that much sleep. So, Blue Gender was important because it was the first time we actually had the Japanese track. We got to reference it, we got to hear what they were doing, so that's actually when we actually started getting a lot better at our reactions, instead of doing what Funimation wanted us to do in Dragon Ball, which was every time you turn your head or lift up an object, you had to make a really loud sound. We actually started learning a lot more about kind of how they voice their shows, and that was pretty cool. Let's see, Eric Vale was the lead on that show. Do you guys know him? He's awesome. Anyway, so from there, let's see, there were other things, but I think the next show we did was actually Fruits Basket. Like, I felt that was an interesting change for me, because I was like, come on, Justin, oh, so I got a part in this Fruit Basket show, sweet. Like, what is it? Does he have a sword? Does he have muscles? Can he blast people's faces on fire? Like, does he have a sword with magical properties? Actually, no, he's a flamingly homosexual student council president. I guess there's very little difference between those sort of personalities. And the only thing, I really need to have a panel where, like, one of these days, and don't make me do it this panel because it's gonna, today, because it's just gonna take too long. One of these days I just need to have a panel where I watch some of that show again, because people ask me to quote lines from it and do stuff from it, and it's literally been like 10 years, and I only worked on it for maybe 2 weeks. So someone's like, what was your favorite part? I'm like, I don't know, 10 years ago, like, showing up for the session and getting paid to do that. Yeah, and I'm sometimes embarrassed to actually go back and look at really old stuff. It's like, yeah, seeing those pictures of yourself in junior high school and you're like, oh, I look so awkward back then. I mean, but not anymore, because I'm supremely handsome now. I need another donut. Okay, so I'm not gonna, actually, it's gonna take way too long if I just keep going through one anime to the next, but after that, I was, like, Funimation started hemorrhaging, and, like, there are shows everywhere, and then I worked on Case Closed,
yeah.
Detective Conan, to those of you who appreciate the American dub. Actually, we were still battling some of the old school of Funimation back during that show. I don't know how many of you watched it, but, like, there were still some. There were two parties at Funimation back in the really early days. Some who really wanted to try and preserve the Japanese on it, and some who were like, Americans don't want to see Japanese stuff on TV. His name can't be Jimmy, like, Shinichi Kudo, it's gotta be James Smith. And yeah, I remember sitting in a meeting actually for Detective Conan where one of the guys was like, I was like, well, why don't we just, you know, why don't we set the show in Japan where it's set, and it will keep us from having all sorts of problems later on, because his parents apparently live in America and they come back later on, so we could just, you know, and because there's a lot of like Japanese culture in the show, we could use it to maybe teach some people some stuff. But no, man, we'll have it set in Chinatown. I'm like, oh, come on. All of those people are long gone from Funimation, so it's and I made fun, but at the time, really, they just didn't know, and they were so successful with Dragon Ball and the way that was handled. They were just trying to recreate that again, and because there were still a lot of people then, like, and probably still a lot of people now who still think that cartoons are for kids, which is stupid. Well,
Yes.
maybe cartoons are, but not anime.
Thank you.
And especially not Japanese anime. Let's see. Okay, so This is the worst panel. I am so sorry, guys. I'm just rambling. Ooh, sweet. This panel decidedly under 9,000, which is nice. Really nice.
It's over.
I am actually really shocked that no one has asked me to say that yet, and it kind of makes me a little proud. It's like this actually feels like a convention where people wouldn't even want you to say that, and I kind of, there's something I like.
Yay!
I probably will later, but not right now. See, just watch the shows. That's what she said. That wasn't even a joke. It really is literally what she said. Like, she said that. Yeah, true. Okay, so then we started working on a bunch of shows, and my memory is really crappy. So so my favorite stuff I've worked on is Giroro from Sergeant Frog. I mentioned that first because it's honestly one of my favorite shows I've ever worked on. It's just so ridiculously funny. I have a 14-month-old daughter, and I cannot wait to let her watch that show. Like, if she doesn't really pay attention to TV unless it's this show called Pocoyo. Have you guys ever seen that show? It actually looks like anime that was drawn by like the designers from Apple or something like that. So it's a stark white background. Anyway, she loves it. Looking forward to let her see that. Let's see. I was on this show called Full Metal Alchemist. Have you guys heard of that? Alchemist. Alex Louis Armstrong, he was another wildly awesome character to play. He was probably the most fun character to play in the booth. Like, I can't say it was necessarily my favorite character because he didn't make a lot of sense most of the time. But he was ridiculously fun. I mean, you definitely didn't have to pull out like acting chops for that, except sometimes, because he'd go from like supremely dorky and weird and over the top and no shirt on and like exploding with like sparkle and stuff to a really serious scene, you know, with Mustang in a bathroom or whatever. I think it was in Brotherhood where they did actually have a scene in the bathroom that was so awkward. Like, I know that there are outtakes from that guy, by the way, so you'll have to beg Mike McFarlane for them somewhere. I know that I could not help myself in that scene. Let's see. Okay, somewhere along the line, I worked on a show called Salty Ray. And I apologize to those of you guys who watched the extra features on that. I really did not get a tribal tattoo that looked like the main character's tattoo. I was just kind of joking, but I have a tendency to joke and then forget to tell people I'm joking. I only have one tattoo, and it's this one. It's not a Dragon Ball. It's actually an XLR connection for a microphone. So I can plug right in. Then I was... Let's see, what else I did this show called Speed Grapher, which, that was a little adorable little show. I can't wait to keep my daughter from watching that. Now that I have a daughter, that show's a lot creepier than I remember it. No, I'm just kidding. What could be wrong about a show about a dude who kisses a 13-year-old girl and figures out he can kill people with his camera? I mean, totally normal. No, that was a fun show. I was working on that show with Chris Bevins, who I'm sure has been here before. Have you guys met Chris Bevins? Yeah, that dude is supremely awesome, and he's also, like, just between you and me, supremely lazy when he wants to be too, which is an awesome thing for an actor, because sometimes he'll go in and he'll go, all right, yeah, sorry I was 45 minutes late. Well, let's go have a cigarette before we get started, I guess. 15 minutes in, we get in, and he goes, hold on, let me check my email real quick. What? Hold on a minute. And Chris types, like, with 2 fingers, like he's the most aggressive 2-finger I've ever seen in my life. Bam, 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 bam. He hits really hard with his fingers, and he'll type out a message, and he'll go, all right, sorry about that. They said that the box set, they were only going to put like 6 episodes on it. I'm like, that's stupid. Hold on, I just got a reply. Son of a... I need a cigarette. So we go down and we have a cigarette, and he's like, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started here. Oh yeah, we need to copy that episode in. Hold on a minute. Well, we might as well go smoke a cigarette while it's coming. So, This is a long time ago I recorded this. It's not the same now, but yeah, then we come back and go, well, it's already like 11:30. You think we should go to lunch or something? So we go to lunch and come back and, oh, I got that reply again. They're gonna put 8 episodes on now, which is still not 12. Hold on a minute. And so yeah, and then he'd come back after lunch and he'd go, man, I'm sorry, dude. I just don't have a whole lot of weed. I'm gonna have to just have a slow day today. That was an old Chris Evans. He's reformed now. He's